You know what's strange about Gen X and money? They make good salaries, but they live like they're one paycheck from disaster. Multiple savings accounts, cash hidden away, side hustles on top of full-time jobs. Younger generations call it paranoia. It's actually learned survival. Gen X watched their parents' generation get economically destroyed despite doing everything right. Picture this, it's 1986. Your dad has worked for the same company for 25 years. He shows up every day, never complains, follows every rule. Then one Tuesday, he comes home early. Cardboard box, pink slip. Corporate restructuring just eliminated his job, along with thousands of others. Ages 8 to 16, the exact window when your brain is deciding whether the world is safe, Gen X watched this happen over and over. They watched competence mean nothing when spreadsheets said cut costs. They felt the tension when bills couldn't be paid. They saw marriages crumble. This wasn't a cautionary tale they heard about. This was the soundtrack of their childhood. The lesson drilled in deep. You can do everything right and still lose. That childhood didn't just create fear, it created financial competence that borders on genius. Gen X can stretch a dollar in ways that baffle the younger generations. They negotiate everything, the cable bill, car prices, salary offers, not because they're cheap, because they learned young that nobody advocates for you except you. They fix things instead of replacing them, because the repair teaches them something, which gives them control. Watch a Gen X person approach a major purchase. They've already researched for weeks, compared 17 options, and negotiated the price down before buying. This isn't frugality, it's financial self-defense that became second nature. They're not hoarders, they're optimizers. And that optimization started early, with paper routes at 5 in the morning and fast food jobs, where they calculated change in their heads when the register broke. These weren't resume builders, they were crash courses in economic reality. Because Gen X's own economic story proved their childhood fears correct. The youngest graduated college in 2000, right as the dot-com bubble burst. The oldest were 35 in 2008 when the housing market collapsed. Research from the Federal Reserve Bank shows Gen X lost more wealth in 2008 than any other generation. Median net worth dropped by 45%. And unlike boomers who had decades to recover or millennials who hadn't accumulated wealth yet, Gen X was in the kill zone. They lost jobs, homes, retirement accounts. That kind of whiplash rewires you. Money stops meaning security. It means survival time. How many months can you last if everything disappears tomorrow? Psychologists might call this economic PTSD. Gen X calls it a Tuesday. So here's what Gen X learned. Every institution that promised security would eventually fail them. Banks? 2008 bailouts for executives while regular people lost homes. Employers? Loyalty is a one-way street. Government? Social security might not exist when they retire. Real estate? The 2008 crash killed that dream. A study from the Journal of Financial Therapy found that adults who experienced economic instability during childhood show significantly higher rates of financial anxiety and hypervigilance around money. Gen X isn't paranoid. They're textbook trauma survivors. Every financial institution became a trapdoor that could open without warning. So when younger generations wonder why Gen X keeps so much in savings, the answer is simple. Everything else already failed them. Which explains why Gen X pioneered what everyone now calls the gig economy. Full-time job plus freelance work, maybe a rental property, consulting gigs, an online shop. According to research by Bankrate, 53% of Gen X has a side hustle. Odds more than any other generation. This isn't entrepreneurial ambition. It's risk diversification born from trauma. If one income stream fails, the others remain. It's exhausting, but it feels safer than betting everything on one employer that could hand them a pink slip tomorrow. They're not hustling for luxury. They're hustling for the feeling that when, not if, something goes wrong, they won't be helpless. But there's one asset Gen X trusts above all: physical cash. Not stocks that can crash, not houses that can foreclose, not even bank accounts that can freeze. Cash. According to Bankrate, Gen X keeps an average of 8 months of emergency expenses and savings. compared to 5 for millennials and 6 for boomers, because cash represents the only financial control that can't be digitally erased or institutionally seized. Financial advisors say this is inefficient. Cash loses value to inflation. But Gen X watched investments vanish overnight. Inflation is a slow leak. A crash is drowning. They'll take the leak. It's not about getting rich, it's about autonomy. About walking away when you need to. Cash is their anchor. Not to hold them back, but to keep them steady when the economic storms hit. And Gen X has seen enough storms to know you drop anchor before the wave hits, not after. While millennials discuss salaries and Gen Z shares debt on TikTok, Gen X stays silent. No salary, no savings, no cash at home. It's not modesty, it's self-preservation. They've seen what happens when people know too much. Relatives asking for loans, friends resenting success, co-workers weaponizing salary info. Research shows Gen X discusses finances less than any other generation, even with family. They learned early that information is leverage, and leverage can hurt. So they keep their finances completely private. Your Gen X coworker could be a millionaire or drowning in debt. You'll never know. This silence even affects their kids, who often miss out on crucial financial lessons. Breaking this 40-year pattern of secrecy might be harder than surviving another recession. And now, Gen X is trying to teach this to children who grew up in relative stability. Children who didn't watch their parents lose everything, who think their parents are paranoid. There's this tension. Gen X wants their children financially smart but not financially traumatized. They want to pass down preparedness without passing down fear. What they really want to teach is this: have enough saved that you can walk away. Because financial independence isn't about wealth, it's about options. But you can't teach that lesson to someone who's never felt trapped. Gen X gave their kids the stability they never had. And now those kids wonder why. The answer is simple. Gen X doesn't have to prepare anymore, but their nervous system doesn't know that yet. The truth is, Gen X doesn't hoard cash because they're greedy. They hoard it because they're the generation that learned you can't count on anyone else to catch you when you fall. So they built their own safety net, thread by thread, dollar by dollar. They're not wealthier than other generations, just more prepared, shaped by a moment in history when every promise broke and every institution failed. They're not paranoid. They're pattern recognition experts. And maybe that's the most Gen X thing of all. Preparing for disaster while hoping it never comes, trusting only what they can hold in their hands, because everything else already proved it could vanish. If this explains something you've never been able to put into words, click this video here.